I've worked with over 30 coaches, consultants and agency owners in order to scale their online offers. And the only difference between the ones that are immediately successful and the ones that take a bit of time to be successful and get those amazing results is an understanding of a principle called bottlenecks. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what a bottleneck is and exactly how you can use it to gain better mental clarity in your business, to be very clear on what you need to be working on, and to unlock the only thing that you need to do in order to then scale your business. So this video is going to be a walk and talk while I go around Bali. Put your headphones in, make yourself a nice coffee, have a task to do, maybe go for a walk, and just listen in, because I promise you that the value from this video is what I've seen with the clients that I work with who are super successful, and understanding this YouTube video and understanding this video is going to be all you need to then unlock that value to then scale your business. So firstly, I'm going to explain exactly what a bottleneck is. You may have heard of the term bottleneck. It's very common in the startup online business entrepreneurship space, but I don't believe it gets spoken about enough. And the idea of a bottleneck, I'm going to use the idea of a river flowing next to me. There's a nice little river flowing behind me here, and I want to explain it using that. So if you think about your business as that river, basically what it is, it's a flowing body of water. And in that body of water, we have different obstacles in that river. It's not just a straight line. There are different obstacles and they disrupt the flow of the river. And what we want to do is understand what those parts of the river are, what those fundamentally important parts of the river are, and then exactly where the kind of velocity of water is flowing. Is water flowing very evenly throughout them, or are there parts where the water is being blocked? And in your online business, and I'm sure you understand this, but to be very first principles about things, the only thing that you need to do to scale your online business and scale your coaching agency and consulting offer is to understand and deliver on these four things. The first thing is to generate traffic, generate eyeballs to you and your business. The second is to be able to turn that traffic into booked calls, into leads. And the third part is to then turn those leads into clients, so effectively closing those people. And the fourth is to smash the service delivery to get your clients amazing results. Once you've nailed those four, then that is an amazing business that's going to make you loads of money and allow you to work when, where, on what, with who you want. So life is great once you've nailed those four things. But each one of those four is a distinct part of our river. And the thing about that is, you'll know, like, that sounds really easy to do, but those four parts, those four things I've mentioned, are not the easiest things to nail. There's thousands of components within each of those to work on. But the idea of a bottleneck is that all of those parts may be not where you want it to be in the river. The river maybe, it has obstacles in every point. But the thing about the river is, at the top of the river is the traffic. That's the first thing that we have to deal with. And you need to understand, in each of those four parts of that river, where is the water being most affected? Is there a big old dam somewhere? Is there a humongous boulder in the river that is affecting the flow? Because the problem is if we do not know where that is, the rest of the river becomes affected. Because all we want, if you think about it in the river example, is we want as much water at the bottom as possible, which you can think about as money, you can think about as success and fulfillment, you can think about as many clients helped as possible. But the only aim is we want the end of that river to have as much water coming out as much as possible. And the way to do that is to understand why and where the blockages are, or where the blockages are and why that's happening. So to turn this back to your business, all you should be thinking about as a coach, consultant, agency owner, if you're watching this, is, where is my water not running as smoothly as the rest? And yes, there'll be blockages in other parts, but where is the biggest blockage? Because if, for example, at the top of the river, there's a big old dam, it doesn't matter how good you are at closing, it doesn't matter how good your service delivery is, there is no water coming to that part of the river. There is no clients coming to that part of the river. And all you want to think about when you're working on things is, where is the blockage and how can I fix it? And if you're listening to this right now, we could go for another example. For example, if you're closing loads of clients, but the problem is you're not getting great results, then you are effectively blocking that end part of the river. You might have solved traffic, you might have solved booked calls, you might have all of those sorted, but the problem is you're not literally closing enough clients. And that means you're not going to get good enough service delivery, so you're not going to get that lovely bit of water at the bottom, or the lovely bit of money or clients, or whatever you want to talk about it. So the biggest thing right now, if you're watching, is you're most likely to be in the category of the fact that your first part of your river is getting blocked. That first part of that river has a big old boulder in it, and that boulder is stopping you from getting anything else because of your lack of clients. And this might be relatable to you, but you probably started your offer, you'll probably think about your offer and you think, okay, I need to build this resource, I need to develop this framework for my clients, I need to be doing X, Y, Z more for my clients. And the amount of people I speak to who build a whole goddamn course before they've even got their first client. And it's like, yes, you need to construct the river. Of course you need to construct it. So you can't just have a signed client and bring them into nothing. But they'll make a 20-hour course with all the best resources in the world. And I go, how many clients do you have? And they go, none. And I'm like, so the problem is you've not understood the fundamental concept of roadblocks, of what is blocking that part of the business. And what you want to do is basically think, okay, the likelihood is right now, if you're listening to this, is that the biggest block you have is at the traffic stage. That is the biggest blocker in your business, because traffic affects the whole part of the business. You cannot, if there's no water coming to clients closing or to closing calls, if you're not getting any leads to closing calls, then it doesn't matter how good your service delivery is. It doesn't matter how good you are at closing people. You're not getting enough people on the calls. So it's most likely right now that the top of the stream is the problem, that the actual number at the top is the problem, the traffic is the problem. But you need to be very clear on if that is the case or not, because there's definitely going to be, you might be listening to this video and you might have a load of followers, you might have great engagement on your socials, you might have great outbound techniques, but then you want to think, okay, where is your bottleneck? Maybe it's booked calls, because I have people who work in my program who have got 50 to 100,000 followers. Traffic is not their problem. Their roadblock is not traffic. Their actual bottleneck is their ability to book calls, or maybe their closing skills. But if you don't understand where your blocker is, you will wake up every day and you'll know this feeling. There is 1,000 things to do in a business. There is genuinely thousands. And if you don't understand that where your bottleneck is, then you just have so much lack of clarity in your business. It's so confusing what you need to work on that you just get nothing done, or you spend all your time working on things that aren't going to improve the water that comes out of the bottom. So as I said, if you're listening to this, the first bottleneck and the biggest bottleneck, because it's at the top of your river business, is this idea of traffic. And if you know that, if you wake up on a Monday morning and you go, okay, traffic is my problem, then the only thing that you need to work on is traffic. The only thing that you need to think about is, how can I generate more traffic? And then all of a sudden, that inkling to go and, get better at sales and watch that YouTube video about objection handling, or the inkling to go and make a course, goes straight out the window, because you're like, well, I don't need to do that right now, because it may be something I want to improve in my business, but it's not the bottleneck. It's not the key thing that is stopping me from having a flowing river, having a great business, having loads of clients, bringing in great revenue. My key blocker is traffic. So for you right now, think, what is the part of your business what is the part of your river you need to unblock? Or where is the biggest boulder in your river right now? And then the actions become super easy. You've literally courted your need to make decisions, because you just then work on what you need to work on, and then the steps become super easy. So the whole of this video has been to basically say to you, all you need to do is think about your business like a river, think about those steps of those river, and then think about, in each step of that river, what is the problem? And let me go through, this is going to be super actionable, because I want this to be super actionable at the end. Think about, in your part of the river, each part of that river, what is each part? Okay, so we've got traffic. Firstly, once you've sorted traffic out, then it's like, is my traffic good or not? So if your traffic is good, what you will see, this is like your litmus test of what you'll see, is if your traffic is good, you'll be seeing yourself getting good engagement. And when I say good engagement, you'll have comments from people you've never seen before. You'll have likes from people you've never seen before. You'll have follows from people you've never seen before. You'll have all of this, that's traffic. That means you're getting eyeballs. And you can just sense that, right? You can just sense in your audience, I've never met this person before, and they're liking and commenting. Okay, traffic, good, traffic sorted. Then the next step is then booking calls. And again, that's super easy to understand, because just ask yourself, are you booking calls? Are you is your calendar full? Because I know a lot of people who have got loads of views, but I look at their calendar and they've not got a single call in their diary. So think, have you got your calendar full? Okay, so your calendar's full. If your calendar's full, then you're thinking, okay, when I jump on calls, am I closing? And again, it's a case of understanding, like, stats are super important for this. So to give you a rough rule of thumb, you should be turning 30 to 50% minimum of your booked calls into closes. So if your stats are around that, then that's great. And then the last part of your river is just service delivery. So are you regularly getting people the results that they want? Because if you're not getting people the results that they want, then at the end of the day, you're not going to have a sustainable long-term business. So how many testimonials are you able to film? How many results are you able to film? Because that is going to be the differentiator between whether you get more clients and build a proper business, is whether you're getting results. And that is the diagnostic tool that I use for my business to work out what parts I need to work on, and the diagnostic tool that I use, that I give to my clients, that basically then understand, okay, this is the issue in my business. And we're constantly checking in on clients, looking at the stats, looking at what they're posting, looking at the views they're getting, looking at the money they're making, and working out exactly where along that river they have the issue. So again, if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, and you want to talk about exactly where your roadblock, where your bottleneck is in your business, then there's a link in the description. We can talk to you about the whole system that we build for clients, and then exactly how we can talk to you about where your roadblock is, so we can chat about your bottleneck. If you book a call in the link, that's what we do. You can do it yourself. That's the whole point of this video. But if you'd like an expert of, us, we've been building 30 plus coaching and consulting and agency businesses right now. If that's something that's interesting to you, then book a link in the description. No pressure chat. We can chat about where your bottleneck is. And thank you for watching.